So, welcome today to Morgan Pierce from SolarSmart.ie. Welcome, Morgan. Good to see you.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Well, delighted to have you. So, tell our audience who you are, what you do, and how long have you been doing it?
Yes, my name is Morgan Pierce, and I'm founder and CEO of Solar Smart Energy, which is an Irish solar photovoltaic design and installation company. We are just coming up on our fourth birthday in a couple of weeks' time. And we are one of the leading solar installation companies according to SEAI in Ireland, and we've just completed actually our 1,000th install in the
Wow.
last week. So we're pretty proud of that milestone.
Well, congratulations, 1,000. That's not to be sneezed at. Fantastic stuff. And so, is this for the commercial market or mainly the domestic market
It's domestic, agricultural, and commercial. Now, on
and
the commercial
commercial?
side, we're really sticking with the smaller commercial. There's some quite large commercial solar systems being designed and installed, but we're sticking with the sort of 200 panels and less size. About 100 kilowatts is our maximum on the commercial. We think there's a nice little sweet spot in the small commercial demographic that we can target with
Yeah.
not that much competition.
And is it still a relatively new thing, or do you think the market out there kind of is much more aware of what solar can bring as regards savings to their energy
Yeah, I
use,
mean, for
etc.?
sure, 4 years ago, it was very much leading edge, kind of a very technology driven sale. The customer was dominantly, primarily male. But we've seen a big shift in the last 3 years where now when you drive around, you see loads of people with solar panels. So I think we're just getting to that point where in Ireland it's going to hit critical mass, and kind of like the conservatory days of old,
Yeah.
everybody is seeing them. Everybody is now going, okay, they're hearing about how much money their neighbors are saving from their
Yeah.
electricity bills.
Mhm.
And so the demand is definitely increasing, and the amount of education that we have to do with the sales is decreasing. But even more interestingly, we're selling a lot more to the female demographic, because it's now become kind of like a normal household versus 4 years ago. It was really very male kind of focused. How does it work? What does it do? It talks to my
Yeah.
fuse board, and it
Yeah.
but the market's matured quite significantly now.
So I presume that everybody's woken up now when we had the serious inflation in energy costs there for a while, which gave everyone a serious shock because the bills didn't just go up by a tenner, they went up by hundreds of euro every month. So it was quite a shock to the system. So what makes your business stand out? Tell us about that, Morgan.
So I think Solar Smart stands out for a couple of reasons. We're the only female led solar energy company in Ireland, and being female led, I think we focus a lot more on the integrity of our team, just taking care of them. So, for example, it's hard work. The installation teams have to be on site, and sometimes they have to drive several hours before they
Mhm.
arrive, and they'll get on site between 8 and 9, and they might not finish up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon in terms of completing the installation. We try to get our residential installations done in a day, and then
Mhm.
they have to get back in their vans, drive back to wherever they are, reload for the next day, and get up the next day and do it all over again. And it's really hard work. So we actually run a 4-day work week for our installation team. So they get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And that works really well for the customer because they love what they do and they love Solar Smart. So that sort of oozes in terms of how they treat the customers. But likewise, the rest of the team, so the operations side, the people that run project management and do all the invoicing, and also the salespeople, they do have to work on a Friday,
Mhm.
because they don't get up at, at the crack of dawn and get home at
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night. But it gives them an opportunity, since the install teams are all off, it gives especially the operations guys an opportunity to kind of have a nice leisurely Friday, cleaning up everything that happened, tying up all the loose ends from the week, and then getting ready to start again. Otherwise, they'd probably have to work through the weekend to kind of keep it all going. So it's just a different approach to how you take care of your people, and we think that that translates into how our people take care of our customers.
Well, obviously, building a culture within your business is very important nowadays. Certainly, 40 years ago, no one even thought about it, but it's become a very important part now. So, talking about the team, what's most important to you when you're recruiting and hiring people to fill positions within your company?
I think we're the solar industry is in a it's nascent. So we can't go out to the market unless we're poaching from our competition, and hire skilled resources. And in fact, the few skilled resources that we have hired into our business, we've kind of found out that they come with a few bad habits. And so our head of engineering instead actually prefers to hire, qualified electricians and roofers with, 20 years of roofing experience, and then we train them up to gain the knowledge that they need in this new technology. And we found that that has worked really, really well for us. The people coming in, they're getting upskilled. They have a different perspective on what their future might look like. They're very loyal. And so we're looking for people that kind of fit the bill from a cultural perspective. Like, they make us feel warm and fuzzy on the inside of our bellies when we do the interview process, and then they know their craft, whether it's being an electrician or being a roofer, really, really well. And then we layer on top what they need to know about being effective in the solar business. And for a roofer, they come up to speed fairly quickly. We, partner new roofers with the seasoned guys, and within a couple of months they're ready to go, maybe lead a team on their own, depending on what their skill set is. On the electrical side, it takes a little bit longer. There's a lot more nuance there, a lot more products and things to be kind of health and safety worried about. And so it takes us about 6 to 8 months to actually onboard and bring up to speed a new electrician.
Okay, so training is obviously an important part of bringing your team on and getting them to learn, etc. So for you personally, Morgan, what has been, would you say, the biggest learning since you became the owner, founder of a business and running it on a daily basis? What have you learned most about yourself?
That's a really good question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. Solar Smart is, I think I've started over 10 businesses. And so each journey is a little bit different. In this particular journey, and maybe it's because I'm beginning to develop a bit of gray hair, I decided that I wanted to make sure that I could be most effective by not working in the business. And we're in our fourth year now. So the first year, like, I was one of 3 people, 2 salespeople and myself, and I did pretty much like A to Z, built the website, did it all. Second year, I started to bring in a management team, COO and head of engineering, and we started to build our teams. But I was primarily focused on sales and marketing. Third year, very similar, except for I didn't take in any new leads. I only sold to my reference clients.
Okay.
And now in this fourth year, what I decided at the beginning of my fourth year was that I was going to extract myself so that I could work on the business rather than working in the business. And so now I actually don't do anything except handle a few emails, take the phone calls, kind of make sure that I'm available to support the people that are in the roles doing the work. And it's been absolutely brilliant because it's allowed me to be a lot more strategic, a lot less tactical. I'm not a micromanager by any stretch, but it's allowed me to kind of really think about what's the next place where the business needs to go. How do we continue to improve our brand, keep it at the forefront of the client mindset, And it's refreshing because even like yesterday I drove down to Claire to do a couple of site surveys. I still very much want to stay in touch with the customers and what they're hearing in the market and what they're hearing about the competition and all of that. So I do still, go do the work, get up in the attic, measure the roof, do all of that, which I actually love.
Yeah.
But on my journey, I was gone all day long. I got back, I didn't even have to look at my email because I'm not on point for anything in the business. It's all looked after by everybody else. And so it's just refreshing that I can look at the business with pride, or with
Yeah.
sometimes not so much pride, and be very far back from the way
I think your
that
point
it's
is well
expressed.
made. It's one of the most difficult things that we find with business owners is to actually to get them out of the business, the day-to-day operations, because no, I'm the best. I can do this. Yeah, I know, but you're not going to build a business. You just build a job for yourself if you do that. So that's kind of really was good to know that. So tell me, what advice would you give to a budding entrepreneur? Looking back at your younger self, 18-year-old, 21-year-old, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur?
Um, the most important thing I think I would give a young entrepreneur is to make sure that they're fully like 150% passionate about the idea, because it's not a bed of roses.
Really?
This is a journey that is really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And if you're not just unbelievably committed to the idea that you want to bring to market, and it doesn't get you out, like, it can't be, your motivation has to be more than just money. I think it has to be purpose. I think it has to be vocational almost. And you have to really be committed, because unless you get super, super, super lucky, which very, very few people do, in the beginning, it's great, it's fun, it's exciting, it's wonderful. But you get to year 3, and it's still maybe not where you want it to be, and year 4 and year 5, and you've got to keep going, or you have to walk away. And I think people underestimate, because entrepreneurs by nature are highly optimistic, right? You just think,
Correct.
we think everything is possible and it'll all be fine, and it'll all materialize in the time frame that I think it's going to materialize. It never happens. It's always wrong.
Interesting. So tell me, where would you see your business and your industry in next 5 to 10 years?
So our we're on track to, I think, become one of Ireland's largest and leading solar energy companies. That's certainly my goal. We might partner with other kind of retrofit businesses, or do something in that regard. But the industry, I think, is where it's really, really interesting, because I think the home energy management arena is, and how you manage your own energy production and consumption, is very much being put into the hands of the homeowner. ESB Networks is putting out the smart meter, so you've got a lot of data about how much electricity you're using, how much you're spilling to the grid, kind of like all of that stuff. I mean, there's a big push to get the consumer to the place where they are a prosumer. They're a producer and a consumer of the energy that they're creating. And I think that whole market is going to be really transformational for the homeowner. And also for the technology providers that are looking to develop technology and put it into that environment.
So it's actually getting this collaboration between public and private, where we can actually work together to reduce the pollution in the air and all that sort of stuff.
Part of that, but also, like, when my very first business that I started was in the systems integration business back in the early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, when computers didn't talk to each other. And so, we developed software that connected computers together and databases and things like that when the PC was in its infancy. And I think there's a piece of technology in the solar world, or actually it's actually also in the wind world and probably in the hydro world, called the inverter. And the inverter inverts high voltage DC electricity that's created by solar panels or wind turbines or whatever, and it changes it into AC, DC, AC, and the
Mhm.
AC is what you can put into your fuse board. Well, that piece of technology is basically a computer, in
Okay.
addition to the fact that it has the inverting capabilities. And I think that those in the future, I could be completely wrong about this, but I think that those in the future, those inverters will potentially talk to each other. So you might
Fantastic.
have a local area network in your community of the inverters of your neighbors, and the and your you know your housing estate shares the electricity that it produces with the other people in the housing estate, and you sell it to
Okay.
each other
Yeah.
rather than putting it out onto the grid and letting so I think there's going to be a lot of transformation
Yeah.
in that piece of the puzzle, and I'm very excited to see how that transforms how people feel about energy, and the fact that they make it on their roof and they can, share it with their neighbors, and community wide benefit
Yeah.
from what's happening there.
I think community is a very important part.
Yeah.
Morgan, I could chat to you all day. Fantastic to hear about your success. Great to hear about the future plans that you have for your business. I wish you every success, and I hope to hear back from you maybe in a few years' time, and we'll see where the world has led you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.